Hello, Rockets Network. Today we're going to do a short video about using pronouns. I'll start by modeling the introduction. My name is Tabitha Mitchell. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a community recreation director with St. Paul Park and Rec. I'm also an activist and an educator when it comes to LGBTQ+ rights. So quickly, we're going to go over why it's important, some examples, and why this matters to youth work and how we do it, and what the action steps are. These are the pyramids for equality. So we have one, which is the regular YPQA, and then the second one, which is the SEL. And why this matters is because it creates a welcoming and safe space for young folks and our staff. So let's start with the why. Why do we do it? Especially when there might be folks that aren't comfortable with it, but we want to have all of our young people, our families, and our staff feel that we can affirm their identity. We want it to be respectful. Intentional misgendering is a form of discrimination. So we want to make sure that we're being not hurtful and that we want folks to feel included. It's about emotional well-being. There's tons of statistics about how it raises self-esteem and helps with depression and other mental health issues when it comes to folks not feeling validated. And it makes an inclusive space. This is the Gender Unicorn. We're gonna have a link for this resource, but I think the most important thing to learn about this is that everybody has all of these identities. We all have expression, we all had our biological sex that was assigned at birth, and attraction. So pronouns and gender and sexuality are not just for trans or non-binary folks. You could be a cisgendered, very feminine, assigned at birth female, straight woman, and you still have all of these things. So we could spend a lot of time on this. We're not going to get into it all today, but for the part about pronouns, it's in the gender identity. So you could be masculine or feminine in your dress and your presentation, but you still can decide for yourself what pronoun you would like folks to use. So, for example, I was assigned birth at female. I'm a member of the LGBT community, but I use she, her, hers as my pronouns. So one of the first things we did was you can put it on your name tags, use it in icebreakers, add it to email signatures. That's something that you can do when you introduce yourself. So we want to model that to folks. Another thing we want to do in the field of youth work is get away from like gendered language. Like, come on, boys and girls, line up. So we can use friends or scholars. With the activist community, I use comrades. There's a lot of gender neutral words. And we also want to think about creating spaces. Family restrooms are good for everyone, whether that is, a person that has differing abilities, or let's say you're a dad with a 3-year-old little girl, or say you're someone who's just sick that day. So we want to have and encourage our organizations to keep building family restrooms for everyone to feel more inclusive. But yes, also for our trans and gender non-conforming participants. And the last thing is call people what they want to be called. So with gender pronouns, there's names like Jamie or Cameron where you don't necessarily know the gender. And then there's obviously names from all sorts of different ethnic communities where we have no idea. Like, I don't know if that's a male or female name. So it's not just about gender nonconforming or trans folks. This is everyone. And like, for example, I've met a male Tab. I'm a female Tab, short for Tabitha, but I also met a male Tab. The other thing is about nicknames. So Tab is my nickname. Tabitha is my government name. Some folks want to be called only their nickname. Other folks only want to be called their government name. Sometimes it depends on the relationship. But the moral of this entire workshop is call people what they want to be called out of basic respect. That's their name of choice and their pronoun of choice. So let's talk about making mistakes. So if I were to hand you a pen and I accidentally dropped it, I wouldn't spend 15 minutes having this over the top apology. I would just hand you back the pen and say, here's the pen, sorry I dropped it. So if you misgender someone, which chances are you will, we just want to say, sorry, I meant she. Or if we're talking to another youth worker, we could say, well, actually, they go by Riley now, and their pronoun is he. And then also that affirms that young person who maybe in a different last summer or in a different program, they went by Mariah and she, and now they're going by Riley and he or they. And then also I personally have thought that like they is the hardest one to get around. But I realized like if the UPS driver dropped off a package, I would say they left you a package. I know it's not plural. I know it's not two people, but I use they. So we do this in our language. And I could go on and on about the bigotry in institutions around grammar. I will save that for a different video, but we don't need to be grammar policing right now. If people use they, that's what they use. Call people what they want to be called. So again, apologies are important, and that shows us as adults being accountable, but we don't need to apologize for 20 minutes and make a huge theatrical display about it. Just say sorry and work on things that will help you, like writing it down on your sheet or having it be a part of the name tag, and therefore you're going to get used to that. Okay, so this is the most important step, is the action steps. So use your pronouns. In many spaces, even if I'm the only one, I will introduce myself. I am Tabitha, she, her, hers. I'm Tab, she, her, hers. Fill out the gender unicorn for yourself. Are you a more masculine or feminine dresser? Have you always identified with the gender of the biological sex that you were pronounced at birth? Maybe, maybe not. But this helps us to realize that everybody can fill that chart out. And then lastly, there's tons of examples online. We have one specifically about trans youth. But at the end of the day, whether it's phonetic spelling and pronunciation, nicknames versus government name, legal name, call people what they want to be called. All right, love and solidarity. Thank you all for watching our Sprockets video.